Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, now the divine heirs. Today is October the 17th, 2021 on the civil calendar, 1442 on the ancient moon calendar, 1441 on the ancient sun calendar. All rise and stand. This is a sovereign, living, ancient Article 3, Moorish, American, Al-Moroccan court action. I am sovereign, living justice, onlinne Denise Ritchie, in capitis, diminutio, nolo, in red ink, in propria persona juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. My free, chosen, sovereign appellation is like to jury bay, in capitis, diminutio, nolo, in red ink, in propria persona juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. We are the original indigenous, sovereign, ancient Al-Moroccan, Moorish American descendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites and Canaanites. Our full faith and trust, our allegiance, our credit, and our energy are hereby vested in ourselves. For we are the people who are the original indigenous, natural divine, de jure, Moorish National Republic federal government, and the ancient empire state of Morocco. We hereby exercise all rights at this time and at all points in time, not so tough. We are bringing that which we ascend to into this dimension, Islam. So, coming up on October the 19th, 20th, and 21st, we have the full moon fast, our monthly full moon fast. It's a 3-day fast. We're cleansing for continued unity and peace. And those who want to do the whole 3 days with just water, you can fast it that way, however you're led to fast, first of all. However you're led to fast. Some fast from meat, some fast from sweets, others fast from things like coffee, some fast from certain types of energies, negative energies, etc., and only allow positive energies and positive videos and positive music, positive writings to come into their atmosphere. And so however you choose to fast is, you're sovereign. You can do that however you want to do it. We just want to observe and harness the energy of the full moon this October 19th, 20th, and 21st so that we can take that energy and use it for our good. So the first thing that we want to talk about is what we've been talking about. On the screen, there's a photo from 1933 because, as you all know, we have the authority, the sovereign authority to print our own money, and we've always had the authority to do that. So on the screen is a photo from 1933. We know what was happening in 1933. Let's go back to 1913. 1913, our prophet set up the old Canaanite temple. And what happened? The Federal Reserve Act. They were trying to counter the things that our prophet was doing in order to get rid of this fiat. He was doing everything he could to nationality and our authority to do whatever it is necessary for us to govern our vast estate. And then throughout that time period, he was doing all of these amazing things, including going down to Cuba and getting the land mandate, okay? And the land mandate just said, you all are the heirs, we're the heirs, okay? And all of the other nations were telling him that because they needed us to do what we're doing now. They were saying, our whole economy depends on you all. The land is yours. The resources are yours. All you have to do is wake up and continue waking up. And our prophet was awake, so he's like, let me take this back and tell everyone. things happened. There was a lot that happened during that time period. In 1925, the United States Corporation Company, our prophet had bankrupted them yet again. And in 1925, many of you have seen, we have their articles of incorporation where in 1925, the United States Corporation Company reincorporated again under a different name and created yet another shell company because it doesn't have any authority, no power. And they did that more with 500 Federal Reserve notes. It took them till 1925 because the Federal Reserve Act they had to find in our records something that they could copy. They copied the Federal Reserve Act and incorporate and capitalized it. That's just put it in capital letters and dead. Anything coming from them is dead. And from 1913 to 1925, our prophet was busy making moves like what we're doing right now. And it bankrupted the United States Corporation Company like they are right now. Let's make no mistake about that. And then in 1925, the United States Corporation Company, I don't know what they saw, but they said we still got to try this because they're not printing their own money yet. So let's incorporate again and then see what we can do with that. Okay, that's what the court said. So 1926, 1927, 1928, our prophet is busy working and doing things. And something happened, and next thing we know, our prophet is off the scene, and 1933 happened where they started printing their own money. Like on that photo, that is in somebody's basement, okay? Make no mistake about it, that's in somebody's basement. That's not even anything spectacular. So they enacted the 1933 House Joint Resolution where they were saying, oh, there's no money more. You all don't have to use this fiat. You can just put some documents in that will pay any debt that comes about. Well, you know, somehow the information that we needed, that we're using today, was not passed down. It was not passed up, rather. Okay, in the Moorish nation, it wasn't passed up that we know of on a massive scale. Okay, and we're talking massive scale. And massive means more than 10 Moors, really, because it only takes a few. It really takes two. Where 2 or 3 are gathered, 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established. But we needed to do what we're doing now, which is meet and continue to meet and continue to put this information forth and do it freely and then get our own money circulating. They're not even letting you see all the emails that we get and in the communications that come across. That stuff, it will tend to make it look like it's not that many of us, but we're earth-wide now. More sovereign delarium is being given out and being used earth-wide. And we've had even some of the skeptics that were in the Moorish nation say, yeah, I found out they're using it in the UK and they're using it here and they're using it. So we know that there are psychological operations that are attempting to tap in to the programming that we just came out of, the colonial programming. But Morris, this photo is on the screen to show you that look at what's in the trash can. So that tells you that it wasn't worth anything, but that more importantly, we can do it ourselves. And we are doing it ourselves. This photo is 1933. And even then, we were not supposed to be using that stuff. We had a window, because we always create a window. We create our own. We save ourselves. Always have been. So I wanted to put that forth because all they did was just print up some stuff. And here's the thing. What they were using, they knew by then that they had our consent that we were going to use that stuff. It was backed by the consent of the heirs to use fiat. But here's the thing about the fiat. We couldn't even use it if we didn't have accompanying contract. That's why they always feel like they have to have our autograph on something. But as a last resort, because we have terminated all corporate contracts successfully, they don't have anything, a leg to stand on. The corpses don't have a leg to stand on. They never did. I had someone to come onto my timeline today and say, well, and of course they're questioning what we're doing, but not questioning that fiat. And then saying, well, what you're doing is misleading with regard to moorishe sovereigne. Why won't you question that fiat? I'm just asking. Why not question the fiat? No one, they didn't want to question the fiat. They want to question what we're doing. And I'm not mad at them. Questions are welcome. But we are going to question back. Why aren't you questioning that fiat? When we know all they did was say, hey, let's get some paper and some ink because we got the moorishe consent to do this. So now, this is regarding the moorishe sovereigne, because we want to continue to show that it is both legal and lawful. It is. Right in the way we print it. And I would encourage you also, Moorishe, to get your own seal, your embosser, and emboss your diallarium. Once you autograph it and put your right red thumbprint on it, emboss it with your seal, and then send it forth. So, according to Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution, we, the sovereigns, are the real goal. Because, see, when we look at the Constitution, sometimes more they don't see anything about us in it. But we are very clever. Our ancestors are very clever, and we are our ancestors' return. They put us all throughout the Constitution, and they said, honor the Moors, they are the law. But we have to do the research and always get a dictionary and look and see. Because, see, we think we know the meanings of words until we look the word up. And when we look the word up, it tells our truth. So I'm going to try not to smile so much throughout this so that we can know that this is a wrap. We got this already. The sovereigns are the real goal. So this is what it says in the Constitution. It says, no state, this is Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution, no state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debt. So I started looking yet again because I saw some things that I didn't even see before. So I said, well, let me look a couple of these words up. Let's see, let's think about gold and silver coin and tender and all of that. So I said, well, we're sovereign. I know we are. Let's look up the word sovereign. Right here at the top, you see in red it says SOV. SOV, which is the first three letters of the word sovereign, well, that's a coin. So you can't make anything but gold and silver coin. Okay. And then I said, okay, let me look a little further. We see the word sovereign. We know it means independent of all others, supreme in power, rank, and authority. And that's as an adjective. But then I looked at the noun. I said, I know we're sovereign. As a noun, one who exercises supreme power, a supreme ruler, and we know we're not persons. We are beings having the highest authority in a state as a king, emperor, queen, etc., a monarch. That's each and every one of us. But then, number two is important, a group of persons or a state that possesses sovereign authority. And we are the Empire State of Morocco. We do possess sovereign authority both collectively and sui generis, which means individually. Number three, now remember, we're the sovereign. Any of several gold coins, period. A sovereign is any of several gold coins. They can't make anything but gold and silver coins. Well, that means we're the coin too, because we're sovereign. We are gold coins, because see, we keep saying we're the coin and we're the gold. We are the gold. It's right there in the definition. But let's keep going. So then I said, let me look up coin and see what coin says then. And a coin wasn't even what we've been told. We thought coins were, we see people holding up these gold coins and silver coins, and it's like, yes, this is what a coin is. And they're right. That's a coin. But what else is a coin? Because what else is a sovereign? A sovereign is a gold coin. That's us. But we got to think about the word coin. Coin is a noun, but it's also a verb. And as the Phoenicians, we already know where I'm going with that. Coin, noun, is a wedge, a stamp. Well, what's a stamp? Our right red thumbprint is a stamp. So that's a coin. All debt. So gold and silver coin. Well, wouldn't that mean that all it would take would be the right red thumbprint of a sovereign? Because that covers both coin and sovereign and gold, because sovereign is a gold coin. And then number 4, it says money, period. And some will say, well, that's a slang. Okay, let's just go down a little further then. Verb tense, coin, to make up, to devise, to invent as a new word or phrase. The Phoenicians can do that. Delarium, Moorish sovereign delarium. That's a new word or phrase, but not really. It's ancient. To coin money is to make money rapidly, to be very successful or fortunate financially. So then those who are holding up coins saying this is the only money, it's not. It's money, you are right. But the Moors, the sovereigns, who are the gold coins, because we're the real gold coins. When we coin money, all we're doing is turning the printer on high. And it's valid. To coin money, to make money rapidly, that's what printers do. So we're still coining money. But then I thought, let's see what else. It says to be very successful or fortunate financially. That's how you coin money. to be very successful or fortunate financially. Coinage. Now, the act, art, or practice of coining. Because, see, we keep thinking about the Coinage Act of 1792. We are the coinage law. We are the living law for coining. And I've heard some more say, well, we could have put it on a piece of toilet paper and it still been money. You're absolutely correct. So then why would anyone have a problem with delarium? Why? Shouldn't if you know how to read. So let's go further. So then, you know, some have said, well, a coin is metal. Isn't it made of metal? Because here, number 2, a piece of metal with a distinctive stamp and of a fixed value and weight, issued by the government and used as money. Well, if coin is money, then that means sovereigns are money too, because sovereign is a gold coin. So let's go further. So there's some are hung up on the metal piece. And here, all I'm doing right now is just looking at what people are saying about delarium and responding to it. Responding to what the Moors say about delarium. And this is not, the majority of Moors already know. But you still have a few who are saying that's not, you know, it has to be gold coins. It is gold coins according to the definition. We're the gold coin according to the definition. But they say, you know, they're saying, oh, it needs to be made of metal because they saw the hybrids making metal, little metal chainge jingling around. So I said, okay, what is metal? Let's look up metal. Metal, M-E-T-A-L. Let's take a look at it and see what that is. Just make sure so we can see. Metal, a mine, a pit, a cave, a mineral, an ore. Metallum, metal, metallum. The first one says, any of a class of chemical elements. Chemical elements can be any element. Any element. It does not have to necessarily be nickel or copper or iron or gold or aluminum. It can be any class of chemical elements. And then they give, you know, their ETC, generally this and generally that and maybe this and it can be that too. It says here these elements form bases. Well, number 3 says material, substance. Metal is stuff. Hence, metal is spirit. So then, more sovereign delarium is made of metal because it's made of spirit. It is made of material. And we've heard some say, they're going to test your metal. That means they're going to test your spirit. They're going to test what you're made of. Material. More sovereign delarium is material. It's spirit and it's life. Yes, there are other definitions for it, but we got to look at all of them, not just what we've been trained to look at, not just what we've been programmed to look at. We got to look at all of them. Let's go down a little further. And this one specifically says, in printing, type metal or composed type. That means that what you're printing must be of a certain type. It must be a composed type. And what they don't want to say is it needs to be a specific kind of print. That means that it's metal. It has to be done naturally with spirit in order for it to be metal. Have we not done that? Yes, we have. In printing, composed type. They don't want to say natural, so they said composed type. Because when you think about compost, it's something that was organic and living at one point, and then now they're using it they're repurposing it because of its organic nature. In printing, it's anything made by the natural people. That's what metal really is. Heavy metal, as it says here on the screen, such metals as gold, platinum, etc., having a density of more than 5 times that of water. But if it doesn't have a density of more than 5 times that of water, it could be spirit metal. Is dollarium made of metal? Yes, it is. Is it gold or silver coin? Yes, it is, because it comes from the gold coin, which is the sovereign. We're just looking at the definitions, and I'm thinking about what people are saying that I love so much, because all they're doing is pointing out, hey, look at that. Hey, look at that. Look. And saying, yes, dollarium is actually what it should be. Let's look at a couple of other things, because the metal in the verb transitive is saying, now look at this more, metal or meddling. It says to cover. Now that's important. That's important because of the Buck Act. Meddle, to meddle something. If someone is meddling, that means that they're trying to exercise jurisdiction in your business that they don't have. That's what meddling is. It's to cover something or to supply something with spirit. Those are jurisdictional terms. Those are jurisdictional terms. The United States Corporation Company has been trying to do what they call discover or recover the beneficiary. That's what the doctrine of discovery was, is they supposedly pulled our covering off, which they never could do. So what did they do? Recovered with corporate language, the document, and we didn't rebut it. There it is right there, plain as day. Is moorishe sovereign dollarium, does it fit the constitutional language of money? Make anything but gold and silver. That means that the sovereigns are what determines, or who determines how debts are paid. We determine how debts are paid. Anything, no state can make anything but gold and silver coin or tender. That just means that you can't tell us how you're going to pay your debt. We tell you how you're going to pay your debt. And we'll even help you. We're going to print up some dollarium. And whenever you say, hey, because all they're doing is saying, hey, we have a debt here. Can you help us? That's what bails and bonds and all that stuff is. That doesn't have anything to do with the Moors. That's their debt, not ours. And all we're saying is, dollarium, you can get some dollarium for it. Period. We get to determine how debts are paid, and no one else. And that's why dollarium is working like it's working. It's right there in the definition. So something to think about. Know that according to this definition of coin, that your right red thumbprint being a stamp is also coin. Because see, one minute we hear, we heard the one person saying, oh, and I won't call him a person, one being saying, oh, I demand whatever I want to demand, for what I'm doing. But then questioning delarium. And it's like, the questioning is not the issue. The issue is the competence. If you can demand whatever it is you want, why not be lawful? Why not? Instead of exposing yourself to violations. And then that's a whole other thing that they will have to deal with. So if we, and this is something that I thought about over these last couple of days, since again, taking a closer look and seeing what else we can do to make it clearer that grocery stores and all of those, they cannot deny us anything with regard to the Constitution and the money. They cannot, but we must be competent, okay? Gold and silver coin, yes, those ones that people hold up, that's correct. That's lawful money. But that wouldn't be lawful if we hadn't said it. Wouldn't be lawful if we hadn't said it. If we allow our ability to do a simple commercial exchange in delarium with our brothers and sisters to be restricted by electronic devices, and now let's talk about that fiat for a minute, because that's where everyone is right now and when I say everyone, I mean the citizens, and that system. That system is to the point where people cannot do commerce anymore on a massive scale like they used to. They used to be able to trade things or slide all over the place because of the electronic capabilities of that system previously, because we didn't rebut it. And if we allow our ability to do a simple transaction or exchange with our brothers and sisters to be hampered because we don't have Federal Reserve debt notes in our hand, and then they say, oh, well, go ahead and just quote-unquote cash app. But then the cash app
I can't hear you, Empress. Islam.
Islam. Okay. So between us and our brothers and sisters, we should be able to do an exchange between one another. But then they say, oh, we don't have any fiat because the grocery stores aren't giving it out, the banks aren't giving it out, everyone's out. You mean to tell me I can't do commerce between me and my brothers and sisters, or me and my consort or my daughter, because, quote unquote, the application is down? No. We need to, no, we can just print up some delarium and do the exchange. Period. Because see, any of those apps and things like that. Hackers coming through, and the app is stealing. That's happening out there. If we allow that to happen and we don't do what we saw those foreigners doing on the photo that we showed at the beginning of this call, where they're printing their own fiat. If we don't print our own real money, because again, the only reason they were doing that is because we weren't doing what we're doing now. Do we even deserve to govern if we don't do that? If we keep putting full faith and credit in them? No, we don't deserve to govern if we were to do that. But we are so fortunate that we know we're not going to continue that behavior. That's why we're here. We're going to keep moving forward with our own money. And everyone on this land will take it. They will accept it. And then for those talking about crypto, why do you think they call it crypto? Why do you think they call it that? Why do you think they call it that? They call it that because it is crypt-like. If we allowed someone else to govern our exchanges between one another and we're not in control of it, then you might as well consider the exchanges going to the crypt. And then listen, we got this already. So all of the earth wants to be free from that previous system. The whole earth does. And they're looking at us because they already know that it's dependent on us. We know this already. Those who are holding gold and silver coins, okay, and now again, gold and silver coin is lawful. That's lawful money. So for those who are saying that, we agree with you. We're all on the same page there. But not even they can take those coins down to the grocery store and use them, or to a conveyance lot and get a conveyance or a domicile. So then it's not about that either. Again, we agree with them. Gold and silver, we agree. But you can't even take that down to the grocery store. So that means we got something, we need to be looking in a different direction. And when I say a different direction, I don't mean a different as in don't look at gold and silver. We must look at that, but we also got to look in the mirror and know that we're the gold. That's the direction I'm talking about. Nothing outside of us is worth more than what's inside of us. And that's why the fiat was even moving like it was because we vested our energy and our faith and credit in it. When you're talking about, quote unquote, paying rent and all of that, and debt, those who have gold and silver coins can't even pay with those. So then we need to elevate our thinking and know why it is. Why is that? Why is that? It's because it's not about the medium of exchange. It's really not about that. It's about jurisdiction. And the medium of exchange determines the jurisdiction, absolutely, but we first have to be in our proper status. That's what it's really about, is the Moors. Where are the Moors putting their full faith and credit? Even if we put it in gold and silver coins, you still can't use those unless we all agree and we all have unlimited access to it. And anything that we agree on, there cannot be a fiat component. And I have to say it because it's the truth. And when I say there cannot be a fiat component, I'm saying that anything that we get that we say is outside of the reach of the fakes, the corpses, it cannot be dependent on any of their system, their things, their contracts, because they only have contracts. Their contracts come in paper form, whether it be private commercial paper, which is really military script. And so we must move beyond that. We have to. And I know if you can feel it in your spirit like I can, we cannot, it's going to be awesome to get beyond that. I'm talking about all of us together on this land. It's going to be awesome to get beyond that. So we need to do whatever it takes to get beyond it right now. And listen, it doesn't mean that everyone has to throw up everything into the air and just let it fall where it may. That's not even how we do things. We're strategic, we're calculating, we can see far. And so what we do is one step at a time, one step at a time. We've already proclaimed who we are. We've already terminated corporate contracts. We've already liened those utilities, those debtor utilities that they were using to convey debt back and forth. And now we just say, okay, we are the ministers, executors, beneficiaries, trustees, fiduciaries, etc. of our own vast estate. And then start using delarium everywhere. 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 So we will be far more successful where gold and silver coinage is concerned, because I see some holding up gold and silver coins, and that's great. We want them to be able to use gold and silver coins. We will be far more successful, far quicker with more sovereign delarium if we go ahead and en masse demonstrate more, continue demonstrating more sovereign delarium. Because everyone can access more sovereign delarium at this time. We know more. We've seen the demonstrations that we've done thus far. They couldn't wait to attempt to plant that seed.
Where's
when
real
they know
estate
that.
today at?
So Morris, again, when we start hitting that nail on the head, just expect that sometimes that stuff is going to happen. There's going to be someone popping their head up, some dead corpse popping their head up. Just ignore the corpse. Because, again, we will be, and this is me saying this right now, giving the plan, but all of that interruption is about. We will be far more successful in demonstrating delarium in high numbers, and it's there already. But we can't sit around and wait for everyone to get 10 gold coins when we already have it. We looked at the definitions. We already have what it takes in order to fulfill and be aligned with Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution. Now, no, they don't want me to say that out here on this air. But I'm going to say it, we already got it. All we have to do is continue demonstrating it. Because not all Moors, and we got to keep our brothers and sisters in mind, not all Moors have gold and silver coins and little bars of gold from wherever. Some don't have the fiat to even get that because they're hand to mouth. We don't need to be hand to mouth another generation. We don't. What we need to do is continue unifying and continue demonstrating, because we've proven it already. Moorish sovereign dollarium is absolutely gold coin. It absolutely pays debt of theirs. Because we don't have any debt. We know that. And with all of the number of Moors who have access to a printer and a laptop or a computer or another Moor who can do that, who can assist them in getting it printed out, and then just demonstrate, put it send it out, hand deliver it, mail it. Anytime an affidavit goes out, dollarium goes with it. And that also is demonstration that our full faith and credit and energy and allegiance and our trust is in ourselves and not in anyone else. Okay? How much is required for us to come together and say, let us agree to do commerce on our land with our resources and using our own money system? Dollarium, I'll tell you this about it because there were some goals that we had in mind when we said, okay, a couple of years back, we said we got to have our own money system. And if you go back on YouTube, you'll see some of the videos that we did stating that, okay? And it started with us putting 666 trillion in gold on the public record. Now you see that is actually real because we're able to do it. We're the gold, period. So all we have to do is continue doing what we're doing. We've already exceeded the goals that we set in terms of the money system. Here's some of the mandates that we set for ourselves when we said we were going to implement a money system. Number one, one of the most important priorities for our money system, number one, was that it had to start and originate with us. That was number one. Because what starts in truth stays in truth. Just like with fiat, what starts in fraud stays in fraud. Because someone was saying, well, we're the heirs and, we can keep using fiat another 100 years. No. Because then we would still be fraud unless we can print it out on our printer. So we don't have to because we have our own money. So that was number one. Number one is it had to start with us. Number two, which is equally as important as number one, is it had to be easily accessible in an unlimited amount for all Moors. It had to be equally accessible to all Moors in an unlimited amount, because that's what the heirs are. That's the whole earth is ours, period. And all Moors had to have the ability to access it easily without having to jump through a whole bunch of hoops and going through the SEC and being scared of policy enforcers and all of that. It had to be easy. Because the estate in its most basic form is easy. It's just a matter of going out the door and pulling from the estate. And our money system had to fit that ease too. Number three, it had to be physical, something that we could physically touch. Had to be physical. Number four, we had to be able to send it around the earth in a matter of seconds. And we proved that we could do that via email. So when some are talking about, you know, gold and silver coins, if a Moor has an issue in a territory that's 1,100 miles away, you're not going to be able to get gold and silver coin to them. But you can get Dalarian to them the same within seconds. We proved it. We showed the demonstration. The title of the video is Case Closed, a demonstration in Moorish sovereign Dalarian. So again, we're not against gold and silver coins. We love them. We love that. And when we say we love them, we love the idea of lawful money. So we're all supportive of that. We're cheering that on. Gold and silver coins. We love to cheer on the gold and silver coins. But we have to be able to send it around the earth electronically to get what we need. There are ships in the port, and there's commerce all over in Hong Kong and territory, China territory, Thailand territory, Japan territory. There's consulates there and Moors there. We need to be able to get them what they need in an instant. And with Dalarian, we can do that. All we have to do is print it out, autograph it in red and all lowercase letters with our white red thumbprint, emboss it with our stamp, our government stamp, scan it back in, upload it to the email, and send it. The same way we would do any other contract. Because, see, Federal Reserve debt note is a contract. And if you're still using Federal Reserve debt notes, no worries. It won't be here long, and most of the places are not accepting it anyway, so don't beat yourself up about that. Just be prepared to just start moving in the right direction, because we have to. We have to. We don't have a choice. That stuff's not going to be here. So it had to be able to be moved electronically as well as printed out physically, and us have as much access as we need. Okay, that's number 4. Number 5 is it had to be technologically sound. And when I say technologically sound, you know, we see all of these other technologies that are built on our vast estate. Okay, because no technology exists without having something in the ground or in the air. Whether it be cell phones, internet, whatever, all of that stuff starts on our land, period. And so when you're talking about things like Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and all of that stuff, let's break it down to what it really is. It is nothing more than glorified email. The definition of a blockchain is a network of computers and transactions that are connected together that everyone on the network can see. Well, that's just a group email. Let's break it down to what it really is. Because, see, you can't put all of that colorability up there without the Moors breaking it all the way down to, okay, what is that really? Because, see, that's the deal with all that we do. It's colored so much that we think it's complicated when it's not. It's very simple. Where the law is concerned, it's jurisdiction, period. Where jurisdiction is concerned, it's nationality. Proper identification of parties, period. And if you can't get past that, you're not getting anywhere else. Foreigners, courtes, proper identification of the parties. Very simple, all the way down to the basics. And then you build on those simple basics. And that's where things start to get, that's what all the study is for. The study is because we can create anything we want to create. And I'll tell you what we're really doing, Morris, is we are building to where we're actually literally closing the gap of the ages, and we're going to be looking right at our ancestors by the time this building process reaches a certain equilibrium. We're going to be like, oh, okay, this is where we were going with all of this. Hi, ancestors. And we'll probably be looking in the mirror, but so we've already exceeded the requirements that we set, the goals that we set for our money system. And there are a few more. Our money system, we wanted it to look a certain way. We wanted it to reflect us, you know. And, you know, we have the images on our money reflect the moon. There are no quote unquote dead presidents on our money. No. There's only the living, and we know we live forever. So those are some of the things that we had in mind. And I'll say this even about we're doing the demonstrations with the grocery stores and all of that stuff. The things that they quote unquote accept at these other places all have an autograph on them, or a signature rather, a signature. Federal Reserve debt notes have 2 signatures on them generally. 2 black dead signatures. If they accept checks and swiping of the cards, there's a contract somewhere that has either a signature or a sovereign autograph on it. So Dollarium won't be any different. It won't be any different. Now, someone asked me about change at the grocery store. With the grocery stores, if you give them, let's say you have a Dollarium and it's 5,000 nomination, a 5,000 nomination in Dollarium, and you bought something that, I don't know, $2,000. And we talked about dollars, because dollars are not Federal Reserve debt notes. Dollars is a unit of measurement that we put Dollarium in. And so they will give you, they will be indebted to you for 2,000 if you've given them 3,000, and given them 5,000, and the item, the exchange value is 3,000. And I say the exchange value because, again, everything already belongs to us. We're not buying anything. We're just keeping account. So with that, we can always have either a card that we put out there where that card can just have credits on it, period. And every time something like that happens, they can just, we have our little document where we say, okay, just give me either a receipt or something like that that shows that amount, and I'll take that receipt and put it in affidavit form and have my autograph on it. Where there's a will, there's a way. Because think about when they first started. I mean, look back at the photo. They started very primitively doing things. They did that without even having a computer to print up whatever it was they were printing, fiat. Where they really wanted to be on this land doing what they're doing. How badly do we want to be ourselves on our land? What are we willing to do? Or are we going to let programming from colonialism stop us? No, we're not. We're not letting anything stop us. Period. So what we're doing, again, everything that that was being quote unquote accepted had a signature on it. And the fact that they don't accept gold and silver coins means it's not about that. It's about the autograph. It's really about the autograph, the consent or the assent, or in our case, it's about the law. And Morris, I'll say this about that whole piece is what we're really doing, and some may not understand this, but I'm going to say it anyway because it needs to be said. What we're really doing is we have decided that we're not going to contract individually with them, because that's where the problem was. When we went to sleep, okay, how would they know that a Moor is asleep or awake? How would they know that? Because the Moor, this is how they would know. That the Moor would contract with them individually without the power of the estate being with them. That's how you know whether a Moor is asleep or not. That's how they know, is if they can get you to contract with them. Then they know you're operating like kind of like a free radical that's out there. And then they pounce. But when we terminate all corporate contracts together and we say, we don't care what you do, we're not contracting with you, and we make that clear by our actions, then what happens? We invoke the power of the estate together. Because, see, the fall happened when there would be a bunch of us who would say no, and then there'd be one or two who would say, oh, Becky, I love her, or oh, Bob, I love him. And those weren't even their names, and their names were other names. And that one Moor would contract with them. And then what they would say is, well, you know, this land that your state, that was part of your estate, we got one whose appellation is on the document to decide to be a court. Okay? And since we have someone who's decided to be a court, they would say that means we can take the whole thing, which is not true. And that's another reason why writing in red and all lowercase letters differentiates what we do from what they do. But one more would do it, contract with them, and the others would say, well, wait a minute. What does that mean for the rest of us? And then the hybrids would say, okay, we got one who's asleep. Let's make that one real comfortable so that maybe we can get another one. And that's what they did back in the day. One or two Moors would be comfortable, and the rest would be treated like trash. So we cannot, that contracting individually with them, keep your contracts terminated and let's keep moving forward. And bring our brothers and sisters with us. The termination of corporate contracts is the most important thing we could do, because then it invokes the power of the state. You've then stepped into the estate then. but we had to come together and decide that that's what we wanted to do. The Empire State of Morocco statehood, that's what we're talking about now. When you start looking in the international documents where estates are concerned and where land is decided and where jurisdiction is decided, you never see individuals. Where the Moors are concerned, the heirs, the creditors, you never see individuals. It's always the empire. Always the empire. Because even when they talk about a sultan was not even one Moor. It was not. A sultan is like a Supreme Court, a judiciary. And any time one would go out like that, we would all say, you need to come back here, because out there, you can't trust what's out there. So doing things individually, and we've seen more doing things individually. Now we have to do things together. We are the Empire State of Morocco, been that since time immemorial. And our safety is in our numbers. Our strength is in our numbers. That's how you know whether Moors are awake or asleep, is if they contract with them, separate away from their nation. If you look here, and again, we talked about the only thing they really are interested in, where acceptance is concerned, is an autograph or a signature. Because see, when we were asleep, it was signatures, and now that we're awake, it's autographs. But look here. There's a Federal Reserve debt note piece right there, and there it is. Somebody that we have no knowledge of, in dead status, with some black ink in capital letters. Talking about a treasurer. We don't even know what that says. And we can't keep passing that around as if we're that one right there. That's a contract. We're agreeing to be dead like the autograph on there. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to keep doing that. Yes, we, the Moors, are operating in the red now. Yes, we are. Sister Moore put that in the chat. Yes. Can you hear me? Let me see.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Islam. So now I wanted to point something out really quickly too, because the timing of the Moorish sovereign delarium is exactly, it's perfect. Okay, because on August 15th, 2021 marked the 50th anniversary of the day that the one that was doing business as President Richard Nixon, okay, and he's not our president, we are our president, closed the gold window, ending the post-war Bretton Woods international monetary system. What does that mean? They're even admitting that their system is finished, their system, because they don't have the authority to finish ours or close it or open it or anything. But we're now talking about lawful and legal. And again, mores salvum delarium is both. And we spell legal L-E-G-A-L-L. So what they were doing, okay, again, was pretending to govern something that they don't govern. That's number one. But number two, where quote unquote legal money is concerned, legal tender, Constitution, you know, says tender, gold and silver coin, that is actually supposed to be what we call legal tender. Gold and silver coin is the only legal tender. And we've already done definitions of gold and silver coin. We're it. So who is it that's going to tell us that delarium is not lawful and legal? And this Bretton Woods piece right here, if we had not done the delarium, if we had not done it, they were gearing up to do 1933 all over again, except it wouldn't have been anything in our hands. It would have been all electronic, and they cut you off when they get ready to cut you off, and more would have been cut off from the beginning. But that never happened. It's not going to happen. But now we actually have to demonstrate that we have remedied the issue on our land. Okay. There was a question about, we've heard some questions, you know, the Constitution and all of that, so let's just put that to rest. House Congressional Resolution 331, 100 Congress, second session in 1988. Concurrent resolution, we'll just read the first part. It says, to continue the contribution of the Iroquois Confederacy of Nations to the development of the United States Constitution, and to reaffirm the continuing government-to-government relationship between Indian tribes and the United States established in the Constitution. And we know we're not Indians and they are not a government. We know that. But they put this in their record because they knew we would correct it when we woke up. But this was put there so that they have to tell the truth, but they're going to color it because we're the ones who have to uncolor everything and break it down to its simplest, most original, natural format. So, yes, our ancestors wrote that. There's the proof. That's in the Library of Congress. And then they said, enforce the heirs so that we can give you access to the estate. And in fact, we are our ancestors' return, so we're accessing it ourselves. And everyone knows who's watching what we're doing that delarium is a way to do that, for everyone to access en masse the vast estate. We cannot be told no. All we have to do is look at the definitions, put those definitions into our documents if we choose to do that. If not, we can just quote Article 1, Section 10, in red and all lowercase letters, along with making sure that contracts are terminated and that fraudulence is lien. And when I say fraudulent, we know we're talking about the Social Security number, lien it, and the court's name in the nom de guerre, lien it, both in capitis diminutio minima and in capitis diminutio maxima, and any and all derivatives thereof, agents, principals, heirs, assigns, etc., by court action affidavit. And again, you know, them closing a gold window, claiming to close a gold window, it closed the window for them, not for us. Why did we bring that up? Because August 15, 2021, on their civil calendar, which is 1442, is around the time that we introduced Dollarium, the being able to print it out, give or take a couple of weeks. And at that time, we didn't even realize that it had been a square 50 years. Because, see, 1933 and 1913 is not the only time we've been where we are right now, where the Moors have an opportunity to wake up and to print their own money and to have their own economy and do everything that we need to do in order to access our vast estate. Though that's not even the only time. We were there again in 1968. 68, 69, 70, 71, and 71 is when they said, okay, the Moors, they're not ready to wake up yet, so we got to go another 50 years and see what happens. And see, because see, maybe in 50 years we'll be able to take over the whole estate if they don't wake up. We're awake now. And all we have to do, again, know the law, which we're showing you right here. The Constitution, and then with the Constitution being, again, written by our ancestors and given to them so they can put it in a frame, because that's what framing is, put it in a frame. And framing to them is also, and I'll tell you this in terms of what they did, framing is them looking at the original, copying it, and then editing it according to court language. That's framing. In other words, they're putting their own spin on it. That's what framing is. It's hypothecating. So we're showing you in not just from what we say, but look in what they said. And still, we're lawful, we're legal. And legal, again, is our definition of it. And we're at a point now where we have to actually start introducing Dollarium earthwide. We have to. And it's already there, but we're actually going to have to show the rest of the earth that this is what we do here, so that they can breathe a sigh of relief that they don't have to go another 100 years with corpses and corpses leading them and leading the way and doing things and showing them all types of enslavement and craziness. They're all looking at us going, please do this more. But we know that. We know that. And so it's time. And this is our time. This is going to be an amazing time for us. An amazing time for us, because we actually get to see our own power. We get to see our own authority. We get to know who we really are. And then we get to access our vast estate, which to me is just amazing. Because again, our estate is us first. That means our heirs don't have to go another generation. They don't have to go another generation worrying about whether mom, is so tired and she's going to have to scrape together some food, and she's going to have to, and her conveyance broke down and she can't get back and forth to work because her conveyance is broken and she doesn't have the FIAT to fix it. And we don't need another generation of that. We don't. And we're the remedy. Islam. Are there any questions or comments at all? You can star 6 if you want to. Islam. Islam impressed.
I want to thank you for all your hard work. You're amazing. You know that their love for the Moors, the heirs, and it's unending. But also, every time I pass those notes, I know that I am honoring them and not my ancestors. I have interlopers that I am honoring. I don't know how anyone could ever think that that is the true money. We have interlopers here who have oppressed our people, all those things you've just said, and yet they're going to praise those people. It makes no sense to me. We're our own worst enemy. Let's wake up and honor ourselves and our ancestors and then take care of the world. Like you said, they're waiting. And I hear this myself. It's all around me, too. You know, they're waiting for us to wake up and get together and stop listening to those dark voices who have done bad things, you know, during the time we were asleep. That's why they're trying to stop us. So, because they have to pay. We're not going to make them pay, but karma will make them pay for the things that they have done against humanity. So, anyway, please don't pass those notes anymore, Moors. And I really get upset that I have to take their script and go get gold and silver with their faces on it, you know, instead of our Moorish, you know, family on it, and still honoring them even through the medals. I don't even want that. It's like, because
we don't have to do that.
Them once again. So I'm so happy that we have DeLorean. I've been running around telling the world, sending them out, and I'm enjoying this. I feel liberated. I don't need to have everybody else on board right away. I know who we are, and I know what the DeLorean is. And thanks to you, I've learned so much even more on where this stands, you know, in law. And I appreciate you, and I feel so fortunate. Grand Rising, Islam, I yield.
Thank you, Empress. Thank you so much for your energy, most of all. Thank you so much for that. I tell you that we cannot lose when we do this. We can't lose. We cannot lose. It's impossible for us to lose as we move forth with this, because this is the one area where the most programming took place. Everything we saw on television from start to finish was about fiat and obtaining things and getting things and all of that. But in the POW schools and that whole quote unquote education system was about harping and beating that programming into our heads, like we have to chase their dead president. And it is indeed necromancy and romancing the dead and praising the dead. That's why they have dead presidents on their military script. So go ahead, Nobility. You were going to say something. You're fine.
Yes, I was wanting to know what do you, well, I was wondering if how would you send it to the subject?
The same way you would if you were using fiat to do whatever it is you're doing, except that you would use affidavits to speak.
Indeed. So you were saying like the lien and with DeLorean.
Lien everything corporate, because that's what they're acting under, and then speak to the subject by affidavit and with real money, DeLorean. Yep. So if you're dealing with, let's just say you're dealing with, I'll just use Microsoft as an example. And there's someone there, let's just pick a random, someone by the name of, you know, Bob Jones at Microsoft who is saying you have a debt. Well, Bob Jones has two identities that he's dealing with. One of those identities is a court. The other is a subject. You must remove the court and then speak to the subject. Same Bob Jones, it's just the authority. He's confused. Bob Jones is confused about his authority. So lean the court and lean Bob Jones doing business as accountant at Microsoft. Lean Microsoft, lean the court covering, lean everything that has to do with that, and make sure that you've leaned your the straw that was pretending to be you, and the social that was pretending to be a sovereign number, a benefit number. It was pretending because it's not a benefit, it's a debt. And make sure that you have your corporate contracts terminated. And then once you've leaned all of the corpses and that corpse energy off of the exchange, then you speak to Bob Jones in blue, and it will be Jones, comma, Bob, in capitis diminutio minima, which means the first letter of each of those names, because he still has a name. He's a subject. He still has a name. And then you would deal with Bob Jones, and you give Bob Jones commands, that like you would give any other subject. Give that subject command. And you can give that command either by spoken affidavit or written affidavit. A spoken affidavit is a court action where you introduce yourself, quote unquote, by court action, so that they know who they're talking, who they're answering to, and the status of who they're answering to. And then if there are any supposed debts, then send Delarium for that. You don't even have to speak to them on the phone. You can send Delarium for whatever it is that they're saying that their court owes, because what you're really doing is you sent the court away. That corporate covering is gone. Now they have an instrument that is subject. They're subjects and the instruments are subjects. The instrument is the monochrome name. That's an instrument. It's a conveyance method. It is a utility. It's not the Moors, it's a utility. So, for example, Pauline Denise Ritchie, in capitis diminutio minima in monochrome ink, is still a utility that I can use, but I'm the fiduciary of it. It's not me. On paper, it looks like that dead instrument that they were using. However, we've terminated all corporate contracts with that dead thing. And now we've issued, it comes from us. What comes from them is dead, what comes from us is living. So now I'm the fiduciary of Pauline Denise Ritchie in capitis diminutio minima in monochrome ink. So then I can send Delarium for whatever she needs, that utility, whatever is being out there for that utility, whether it be a sovereign resource of some kind, like a light bill or something like that. Again, we have no debt, but we want to give a proper account of everything on our vast estate. So that's where Delarium comes in. And we could take a $100 million Delarium and pay that forward. That's where all of, when they started saying pay it forward, well, all they were doing was repeating the Moors when we say everything is prepaid. Period. Because that's, that's how we have to do everything. I'll give you an example of that in my own everything that I'm doing, my demonstrations. For example, when I was doing the POW demonstration, and there was a When I did the POW demonstration, I proved that I was really actually the living, and that I was not under their authority. I was under my own authority, and not even under it. I am my own authority. And so they issued a quote-unquote trespass ticket, right? That's what they issued to their court. So what do? We lien them, which we had already done that. We just had to prove that we knew what we were doing. Lien them, send all of their corporations to Guantanamo Bay. Then what do? We're the fiduciary now of our own vast estate, been that from day one. But we needed to competently put that on the public record. So Pauline Denise Ritchie and Monochrome Inc. Now I can send Delarium even for anything that they were saying. I can send Delarium and they have to accept it. They don't have a choice. Because it's everything that I issued. Everything came from me. So remember the story in the bibliotext about the woman with the issue of blood. And what did she do? She touched the hem of the Savior's garment, and she was made whole. What does that mean? She really saved herself. She had an issue, and she used the sovereign blood to heal her issue. So anything that they're saying is due, they don't get to say. We get to say. And then we say, okay, now we're going to use lawful money in payment of debt. That, again, the debt is not ours. On our end, we're just accounting, doing proper, competent accounting for the resources on our estate. But the corpses is debt. And we don't owe them anything. But we do want to have access to the resources on our estate. All of this has everything to do with who issues the word, who calls the resource by its proper appellation, who gets to determine, who gets to say, who gets to speak. This is the hybrids call it the war of the words. We call it the sword. And so we're saying you're mute. You don't get to say anything. We get to say everything. We get to create, we get to use all of the resources. Anything that comes our way, if the subjects say, oh, we have something here that needs to be given an account for, then we say, okay, here's some Delarium. We're the fiduciaries of our vast estate. Here you go. That's what this is all about. That's what it's all about, everything. And then we will know that we did it right because the subjects will correct their record. Like they did with the Empress when the subjects gave her quote unquote a ticket, supposedly. Proper identification was gained or was given by us. We commanded. She did it first because, again, she's the power and the authority in that whole thing, in that whole issue. She properly identified herself. She did her own court action and printed her own Delarium, signed her own Delarium, and put the email together and copied them on it, the fake court on it, on the email. Stating, and she did it by court action, and she told them to stand, and she said remain standing, and that they have done. And she sent it to me, and then I responded back to her with a court action, stating that, yes, we know who, yes, she is who she says she is. She's a part of our nation. We're all one. We speak with one voice. And we accept what she has done. Well, then the subject said, okay, we will correct our record. And they did. And we had proof of that. We showed you proof that the Dillarium was accepted and everything. So we'll be doing more of that. We'll be showing more of that. I mean, because since then, even she has done more demonstrations that are just, they've accepted Dillarium left and right. So we'll be showing more of that. But in the meantime, you already know how to do court actions. You know how to do court actions. You know how to clear energy. You know, and clearing energy is just making sure that as we're doing what we're doing, that we're doing it in a manner that is honorable. And then we go about doing whatever it is that we need to do, governing the vast estate. So the same things you could do with FIAT, you can do with Dillarium. You just have to set the record, set the foundation for the exchange. And the foundation for the exchange is always going to be liens on all corpses, including corpses that were pretending to be you. And then you're setting up, you are the fiduciary for your own vast estate. And here's the good thing about fiduciaries is it doesn't matter what capacity you're in, the fiduciary can in 1 minute be a justice, the next minute an accountant, the next minute a postmaster general, the next minute a consul, the next minute whatever is needed, we can be that for ourselves by way of the Empire State of Morocco, the ancient state of Morocco. So all we're doing is being the fiduciary for everything that has to do with us. Period. That's it. That's how this works. Are there any other questions or comments or wisdom or anything else that we can assist with at all?
But Islam, Sister Ray.
Islam.
Justice Frank. Yeah. Well, this time I had success. This is the first time my meeting wasn't interrupted. Somehow or another, I don't know how they do it, but some of the Moors is posted that they got devices that interrupt your the conference calls. So this time I was successful on the call in. I lost the internet service. Although the router was working, and I troubleshoot it, and by the time I get back on, the meeting be locked. So this time I had success.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
On
good. I'm
call,
glad to hear that. Thank you for letting us know that.
Yeah, and they do it a lot too. A lot. It happened to me about 4, 5, 8 times maybe. They interrupt my meeting, so that's why you lose some people that way.
Yeah. Well, as long as this is one thing I know about them is that they won't do anything. If we don't, the longer we don't talk to them and we just keep doing what we're doing, they'll go away. They don't have a choice.
I just don't know how they interrupt my service, though. But according to what the Moorish Council posts, they show pictures of the devices that they use.
You know what?
And it only happens on these calls. It only happens on these calls.
Yeah. Okay. Let me say this about that, and this is not towards you. I'm saying it towards any attempt previously to stop us. This is what I have to say. 2 words. Big deal. We don't even care because we haven't stopped. We're not going to stop. Big deal. What? You got to move. Computer that's trying to stop something. Big deal. Big deal. Whatever. We got this. We got this. We're not intimidated. We're not scared. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. It's a wrap. Because who does that? That means some sandwiches have been taken, and they should have bought some sandwiches with that instead of buying equipment. They could have bought some sandwiches and been better off. But okay. Any other questions, comments, wisdom, etc.? Okay. So with that being said, we're going to go do our fast starting, it'll be actually like 18, tomorrow night at midnight. We'll start the 19th, not tonight, but tomorrow night at midnight. Tomorrow night at midnight, it will stop. We will start the fast because that'll be the 19th. And some start their fast, like sometimes I start my fast a little early, like at 9 or after my last meal. So tomorrow after my last meal, I'll start the fast. And then it'll be 3 days of this water, and then my fast will end at meal time on 3 days hence, 72 hours from that, a minimum 72 hours. So let's use this full moon energy to really enhance the grand rising. And generally when we fast, we have something particular in mind, a particular demonstration in mind that we're doing, and we focus on manifesting that particular demonstration. The delirium is a manifestation of some previous fasts that we did, you know, in the past. And to see it manifested and to see it being used, and then the way it manifested, I can truly say that there's nothing that can stop us when we focus on our vast estate. And I will say this, that I got a text message recently from one of the Moors, and they were, you know, saying some awesome things, but then they said, you know, I'm just trying to stop decolonization. You know, my focus is decolonization of our land. And I said, you know, if we just, you know, and this is a general suggestion. All we have to do is stay focused on saving ourselves and assisting one another. We don't even have to focus on the foreign colonizers and all of that. We don't really even have to focus on them. I watch them to see what they're saying sometimes, just because I like to see. They give indicators of where we are and what we're doing too, because our prophet said watch the news. So I watch sometimes some of the things they say, and that lets me know that that's why I'm so confident in what we're doing, because they actually have to tell the truth. Our prophet said when they're looking death in the face, they'll tell the truth. Okay, that's true, except it's commercial death. It's commercial death. With the inversion of capitalism being put back in its rightful place and the inversion of our vast estate with capitalism, because that's really all we did, is proclaim who we are and then flip capitalism back in its rightful place. And then get our spirits clear and clean so that we can govern in honor, you know. So all we did was that, and now we're putting capitalism in its proper place. It belongs underneath the Moors, not underneath a corporation. When the bibliothelial text says that I'll make your enemies your footstools, Moors, listen, we don't even have an issue. We really don't have any issues when we just focus on assisting, first saving ourselves and then assisting our brothers and sisters, and then know the law and look the words up, because every word that we thought we knew the meaning of, it's bigger than that. We have to look, even a word as simple as coin. Coin. But that one word coin tells us who the real heirs are, and that we don't need anything from the hybrids, the colonizers, the corpses. We don't need anything from corpses. We don't have to, and this is to what you were saying earlier, and then we'll conclude for now until Wednesday. But we don't have, I know that some Moors feel comfortable using fiat to get some silver and some gold, and we're in support of our heirs no matter what, because we're connected forever. But for those who don't have that, or for those who don't want to do that, we can just print up Delarium. We can use some sovereign credits, terminate the corporate contracts on the bank accounts and things like that, and swipe that card, get you what you need, use sovereign credits to get what you need, and then print out what you need. We don't have to ever touch fiat again, ever, if we don't want to. And I'll tell you what, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. Because we can get what we need without it. You know, so we just needed to fix the mental on that, so that we wouldn't be chasing something that we don't have to chase. I don't know about you all, but I get tired of seeing Moors needing things and can't get this and can't get that, and I don't want to see that again. So I'm gonna stay focused and do everything I can to make it so that we never need fiat. But that whatever we need, all we have to do is craft it, create it. And I mean all of us. Not just one or two of us. All of us. I want us all to have everything we could ever want and need, because it's already ours. So, with that being said, peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs, Islam.
Love, peace and love.
Long
live the empire. Much love, much love.
Islam.
Empire, indeed.
Islam from me and Terry. Islam.
I love you.
Islam. Love you too, Empress.
Love y'all.
Thank you for
from
your
me
energy.
Islam
from Virginia, Grand Rise.
Islam. Virginia territory is in the house. Islam.
Marlon and Terry, Georgia territory, Islam.
Islam, Georgia territory. We're so glad you're here. We're honored.
You heard me, right?
Thank you. Islam.